This is a message from your guides reading for Earth and Space. I have 4 crystals here to begin the reading. I have 2 that I've pulled for everyone that I am reading today from our Patreon group. So I have my malachite here, which is really good for grounding, and then also different forms of protection. It can be mental, it can be emotional, and also, of course, including psychic protection, even physical protection, protection while traveling. And then I have my selenite here, so clearing, calling on angelic energies, and there were also some other things that I mentioned recently about selenite in our group reading. So I won't go on too much more about the selenite. And then I have 2 crystals here that I pulled specifically for your reading, and they're actually both pyramids. I'm not sure why that is yet, but I've pulled here my quartz crystal pyramid, and then I also have my jasper pyramid. So this one is really, really grounding. And then now there's something with Egypt going on also, some kind of Egyptian connection, and then also something with Sirius as well. Now with the quartz crystal, this typically tends to be more about clearing, contacting your higher self, and since it's in that form, it's a pyramid, it also has to do with focusing an energy down. So focusing an energy of clearing down, or focusing this type of contact down with your higher self. And then this also goes along with the grounding here with the malachite even, and even the selenite it really goes along with. The selenite is also about tapping into higher vibrations, especially angelic ones, and bringing them down. Okay, this is a guide I haven't felt before with you. So this is definitely a male energy coming up. And this is definitely a Sirian energy as well. I feel like you've had a life with this person. This isn't a master guide. And I think I have typically connected to your master guides also because of the types of readings that you used to typically get. A lot of times you would get the message from your council member reading. So that's typically a master guide who comes in for that reading. I don't know if this is this doesn't feel like necessarily one of your main guides though, like a primary guide or a core member of your guidance team. This feels more like what I typically call a temporary guide or an in and out guide. This is someone that you have a connection with. You've had past lives, or at least one past life with this soul. This person is definitely on a guide level. So they are coming to you as a guide, but I don't feel like they have contracted with you to be your guide for like your whole lifetime or something like that. I do feel like there's something to do with a past life that he's coming in for. Maybe to give information about a specific lifetime, something to do with that. And again, there's something to do with Sirius and also Egypt coming in. Now, I don't feel like he's connected to the water. So there is a race with Sirius that I typically feel is connected to water. They feel like they live mostly in the water, or they have the ability to be on land and in water. This is not, this isn't that race. This person isn't from that race. This feels more like another race that I typically pick up on with Sirius as well. I don't think I've ever picked up on more than two. You never know. Obviously, there could be a third one, or there could be more that haven't come through during readings. But typically, I either pick up on a water type of race, or I pick up on a kind of bird type of race. Or you could even say like an owl type of race. And this person feels like they're more coming from that race. This is feeling more like a bird kind of race. And that's actually typically, those are the Sirians that I always specifically feel connected to Egypt as well. This bird type of energy, and then even sometimes I feel a connection to Atlantis with that also. Now, he is mentioning a life in Atlantis, actually, that you had, but I also feel like he was there as well. And he was some type of priest, he's saying. Now, I feel like you were female in the lifetime. I feel like you were some type of priestess. And I feel like you had connections with Egyptian deities, but in Atlantis, not with the same names, but calling on some of the same energies that we know now through those Egyptian names. And there's a feeling of Isis and like a mother type of goddess kind of feeling, Hathor, Isis. There's also a feeling of water, a connection to the water. Now with him, there's a connection as well to the sun. And there's more a connection to like Ra, Osiris maybe, and then there's some other energy in there as well, that he's not quite making me aware of, but I feel like there's another energy that he was more connected to than the two beings that he just mentioned, or the two energies, you could say, that he just mentioned. As obviously those are kind of, they can be representing beings, but they can also be representing general sort of creative energies, or the creative force with a face in a sense. But he was connected to solar energies and masculine energies. And I feel like you in the lifetime were especially connected to water. Also healing. But I feel like both of you were actually healers. I also feel like you knew each other pretty well. I feel like you were friends. Like you were close friends in the lifetime. And you knew each other well. And this was a really long time ago, obviously, but he's actually had a life since then with you. And he's also had at least one lifetime. He's also had a lifetime where he was acting as one of your guides, so one of your core guides. Whereas in this lifetime, obviously, he still has a connection to you, but he hasn't assigned himself to you in that way. You didn't choose that with one another for this incarnation. There's a feeling like some of the present energies that you're tapping into in this lifetime, you're almost going back to that lifetime. Almost going back to things that you studied then, but now coming across them even within your own self in the way that you can, and in the way that you can interpret those things in this lifetime, since our society is run differently and there are different concepts or different values and different ways to interpret certain information or pass different information, even if it came from an original source, which a lot of it obviously came from Atlantis. So Atlantis being the original source of a lot of the accurate, anyway, spiritual information that we have today. That feels like even in other areas, even scientific and mathematically and even artistically, a lot of the current knowledge that we have came from Atlantis. He is also saying even a lot of the current ignorance that we currently possess is going back to Atlantis and how ignorant they became, and we're kind of falling into the same things. Now, you do have a lot of indigo energies. That was something that was coming up. And indigos, they tend to have a strong energy to help to break things down, break systems apart, break barriers, include concepts that need to be included again. They have the ability to take a kind of refreshing stance or see things from a new angle that needs to be seen. That they have the strength to fight negativity in a sense. So kind of a warrior of light type of concept. But he's saying that a lot of the energies that we're currently dealing with, issues and things, this is all going back to Atlantis. So a lot of people from Atlantis, and specifically, especially those coming in with it, an indigo or even in a lot of cases crystal vibration, but he is saying especially indigo, even Blu-ray, he's saying a lot of these people, and especially the indigo vibrations, have a tie to Atlantis and have had a past life there. He's saying the majority of them have. And so they've already seen these issues and what they can do, and the corruption that they can cause when you allow certain things. And you have to have the strength to not allow certain things. So they come in with that specific strong warrior type of feeling in their energy field, that vibration. And so it's strong for a reason. This is also part of the connection to Sirius. Sirians typically embody a lot of that energy as well, that very willful kind of strength that is needed for when it comes to negativity. and removing certain structures that aren't necessary anymore or don't serve planet Earth anymore. Now, on another note, now he's talking about you currently in this lifetime. He's talking about you connecting with solar energies, that it would be good for you to specifically be out in the sun. I feel like he's speaking, I even see you doing like yoga or something like this in the sun, or almost like sun salutations. But then I also am seeing like sun gazing and learning how to practice sun gazing, it feels like. And researching up on that and practicing more of that, and even getting lighter with your diet and having more liquids. And I feel like that can come more by this practice that he's talking about. Even though you connected in this past life to water, it feels like you coming in as a male in this lifetime. Not that it has to be the case with that, but for you specifically, and also though it is connected in your case with the gender that you're coming in with, it feels like you're going to connect more easily and more naturally to sun type of energies, and it feels like that is what's needed in this current incarnation. And it feels like you would really advance with incorporating that, specifically incorporating the sun and sun gazing, and even doing like maybe some type of yoga. It could even be Tai Chi, something energetic out in the sun. And then also incorporating sun gazing. And I feel like this would help your diet to change, and you would naturally want to start incorporating lighter foods and much more liquids. Maybe you would even completely transition to liquids. Or maybe you would even go lighter than that. Or maybe you would have periods of fasting or something like this. But it feels like your energies are very connected to the sun for this incarnation. And they were in Atlantis too. You just weren't you weren't going that route as much. There were other energies that were needed for that specific incarnation, and there are other ones that are needed now for this one. And we tend to study the things that we need and step more into the things that we need. So it feels like this is a current of energy that you drastically need for this specific incarnation. And the information that you're going to be bringing in and channeling down through yourself, what you bring. So it feels like it's very connected to the sun and sun gazing. And it also even feels like your spiritual kind of enlightenment or mastery or enhancement is also very much connected to this idea of incorporating solar energies into your practice, even in a physical way. Okay, so that is all that he has to say for this reading. So thank you very much for allowing me to do another reading for you. Namaste.